What's up, gang? Welcome to Room and Board. My name is Chris George, and today we are talking about our top 5 favorite Kickstarters from 2021. But it's not all about me. You may have noticed the setup has changed a bit slightly. I have special guest Andrew Swan from Brews and Boardgames.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Good to be here, Chris. Thanks for inviting me on for this awesome list. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for
Of
thanks for
course.
being here. Because what's funny is you and I connected early on in both of our YouTube journeys,
Yeah,
right? We've chatted a bit, and then I had my infamous 1,000 subscriber giveaway, and you were the big winner, baby. Battlestar Galactica
that's
has made
right.
its way into your hands.
That's right, man. It's been a while. Yeah, and I saw the video and I was like, no way. No
Yeah.
way this is not happening. But I do want to say I did receive the game, guys, so he is legit. So,
And really, I was trying to have Andrew on for a long time before that, but he said, you know what? Not until you rig the giveaway in my favor will I even consider appearing on the show. And so I was like, you know what? I gotta do it. Things have been rigged in my favor before, so I had to continue that sort of
yeah,
process.
certain Kickstarter we won't mention, maybe something like that. No
Maybe
giveaway
something
for
like
you.
that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so it's great to be here, man. 2021 was a fantastic year for Kickstarters, I think. I know you cover a lot of Kickstarters, lot more than I do. So you might know a little bit more about this list than I do, as far as,
Well, because
what was really good.
well, I think that's why I wanted to call this the favorite Kickstarters, right? It's not
Right,
it's
right,
what we're personally excited about because I
right.
think there's a huge relevance to that sort of conversation. And we were going to film this a little bit earlier, but my plan was always to have, at least for me, I know I told you top 5 favorites, and I didn't give you any of what my parameters were
That's
going to
true.
be. But for my personal parameters, I'm making sure that none of these, or maybe almost none, are not over the $1 million threshold, because I also just put out a couple videos on my channel going
Right.
through all the $1 million Kickstarters of 2021. And so for my personal criteria was that it was under the million, but I didn't want to give you that personal criteria because I possibly want to talk about some more of those games.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was not aware of
yeah,
that. But yeah, I'm glad you have a different system. I actually have a scientific method for
oh
the
yeah,
number of comments to the number of replies from the publisher.
really?
No, no, not at all. Not at
I got
all,
really
man.
excited there. You
Yeah,
hooked me
yeah. No,
in.
no
I
system
was
at
like,
all.
no, like that, there's
Yeah,
something there. There
might
is really
maybe.
something there to that system
Right, right.
because I feel like publishers that are engaged, well, that's almost a common theme in my list actually is the feeling that the publishers are really invested in these particular games. Like for
Yes.
me, that gets me excited about a game. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
it's really funny that you bring that up because I was bought in. I was like, oh, please tell me, teach me your ways.
I will say I followed a somewhat similar method as you because I think that's important when the publisher is kind of engaged with the community, right? So
Yeah,
so I
yeah, for
followed
sure.
a similar method with that. But I will say all of mine are over the million. All of
Ooh,
mine
okay,
are.
cool,
So
great,
so
great.
I'll say that. I'll
I,
say
I
that.
thought I thought it might be. I have a feeling I know one on your list. I don't think I know any of the others. I might know a second one now that I
You
know that they're all over the million.
yeah.
But that's also why I wanted to have the criteria because I wanted there to be not necessarily like a bunch of crossover. Because I feel like just judging from like the videos that I've seen in your channel, which are great, everyone should go check them out
Thank you,
right
sir.
away after this video, and then go to him, unsubscribe from me, and go over to Brews and Board Games. You'll get much better content.
That
Um,
is true. I can confirm.
yeah, we're in agreement on this subject. But because I'm a fan of your channel and I watch a lot of your videos, I feel like our tastes align in a certain regard as well. So that was also why I imposed that sort of self restriction upon myself because so we're not just talking about the same vibe, really.
Yeah. I think you will, when I say two of them, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I think so
Yeah.
for two of them. For two of them. But
But I'm excited.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited. But before we get into it, you have on your channel, you always associate a brew with every video.
Yeah,
Is that
I
true?
try to sometimes. Sometimes I just maybe I didn't get to the store, so I didn't pick up
Yeah.
something. But so for today, I just got some coffee. So I got some. This is by the Black Rifle Coffee Company. This is their espresso with cream. My wife actually picked this up. But I've always been curious about. I think have I had Black Rifle before? I might have. I'm mixing it up with. There's another
Yeah.
company called Death Wish Coffee Company. But I think I have had some of theirs before, and I really like it. It's a veteran-owned company, but this is just their espresso
Oh,
with
cool.
cream.
That's
It's
awesome.
yeah, and so far it is. It's pretty good. Keep me up while I'm hearing your list, so I don't fall asleep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's completely fair. Well, because I knew you did that. I ran and I got my own brew from the kitchen. It is the remnants
Oh,
of a Burger King root beer, but
root beer.
it's half melted ice right now. So
Well, I'll give you a pass just because it's root beer. All right, that's the only way I'll give
it's
you a
root beer.
pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I looked at my fridge and I was like, oh crap. It's like, do I get the scotch? No, go for the root beer. Go for
go.
the half drank root beer.
Yeah, awesome
Like
stuff. Well,
that's the funny stuff.
I approve, man. I approve.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to just get into this? Let's get into
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
Uh, and I feel like why don't you start us off if that's cool, and
Me
then we'll go
start.
back and
Okay. Okay. Well, I got a whole bunch of notes here that I probably have already forgotten. So, my theme, like I already said, the way that I kind of did it, it didn't have to be over the million, but I thought like if it is, it's kind of the people are a lot more. They're seeing something that they like, right?
definitely, yeah,
And so also what I wanted to look for was okay, if there's that many people or even if it's not, how is the publisher engaging with those people? So a big thing like we just mentioned is publisher engagement with the community. So but not all of them. I didn't back all of these as well. I should say
yeah,
that. There's one I didn't
legit.
back. Number 5, this is going to be a spiritual successor to a game that I really enjoy, and that is going to be Lords of Ragnarok by Awaken Realms. So
Nice.
I love Awaken Realms games. I'm kind of a fanboy. I have a few of their games already. So, and then I love Lords of Hellas as well. So when they announced this game, I was instantly excited. This was on GameFound. It raised about $1,000,000, 916,000. That's in American or USD, I should say, and it had 10,368 backers. So it's pretty good. But
Yeah,
like I said, this is a spiritual successor. Everything looks fantastic. I love everything that I'm seeing about the game. And what I'm appreciating is I think they changed enough from Lords of Hellas to Lords of Ragnarok to kind of warrant this,
Warren having
successor.
both.
Yeah, absolutely. It
You're not
seems
going to get rid of your Hellas. You're
absolutely
going to
not.
have both. Cool,
Absolutely
cool,
not.
cool,
Yeah, I'm
cool.
keeping both. I think they are going to be different enough. But I think what they did for Ragnarok, it seems like they took a little bit of the feedback from the community and they kind of made little tweaks, and then put that out there. So I really like that they did that. That was a big thing for me. And
Nice.
they even got David Turtsey for a solo mode. So I'm big on solo games. So they got David
Yeah.
Turtsey. I'm really excited about that. So it seems like they weren't just going to tack on a solo mode. They really wanted to, iron something good out.
For sure, yeah, he's pretty well known in terms of
Oh yeah.
his solo. Well, his designs in general. He's the designer of Anachrony. That's probably one of his biggest. I
Yeah.
believe Voidfall as well was on Kickstarter recently. For those of you who don't know, but yeah, like he's top notch. His design is good. Yeah, I feel like when a solo mode for an area control game always gets me a little hesitant. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, will this pan out? But I also feel like it's really going to pan out in a nice way because because of the strength of his designs. No pressure,
Yeah.
David, if
Right.
you're watching.
Yeah. And honestly, even if it's not mind blowing, I'm probably mainly going to play this game with a group anyway. So it's like
Yeah,
just to have that added is a huge plus. And I
totally.
think it is going to be fantastic anyway. So we'll see. Uh, but what I not just that the game looks super cool, but I think the campaign page was laid out fairly well as well.
Yeah.
They had a lot of media around the game. They sent a copy to the Dice Tower. I love that playthrough, and a lot of other content creators had it as well. So you got a lot of information, while the campaign was going on. But the page itself was laid out very well as well. You knew exactly what you were getting. If you looked
Legit.
at the
Yeah.
core box, if you looked at the add-ons, the expansions, you knew exactly what you were going to get. And they had some good stretch goals. I really like the stretch goals. And they had what I really like about Awakened Realms. Their updates always seem to be really good. Like if
Yeah.
they always take feedback, and then on the updates they're like, hey, we're changing this around, right? We hear
Yeah.
you, basically. We're gonna make these kind of changes. So I really like that. And I think Awakened Realms always does a fantastic job in that department. But
100%.
also, in addition to that, the comments, right? So a huge thing when you're dealing with a lot of backers, there's going to be a ton of people with the comments. But
Yeah.
if you go on the comments page right now, you'll see just a ton of replies from, I guess it's AR Jordan is the account name,
Yeah.
just responding to everybody. So it's like that community, engagement is huge, because you don't want to back a game and then just kind of feel left out in the dark. You want that publisher to be like, hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, I got a question. Can you help me out? And they're willing to
Yeah.
help out. So I really like that they do that. But that's basically it. I'm really excited about the game. Super excited to get this one. It
Yeah.
looks super cool, dude. The minis are top notch. I love it. I love it.
And because one of the things with the minis, and did you like the minis for ISS Vanguard? Did you see like the style of those? I felt like Hellas and not Hellas, Lords of Ragnarok, and the minis from ISS Vanguard, they gave me like that sort of similar style, which I was surprised at. I didn't mind, but I was surprised at that sort of like more futuristic and like sci-fi feel. Then I guess Hellas has that sci-fi feel too, right?
It does, but that's a good point you bring up, because Hellas did, but I feel like what they did with Ragnarok, they kind of leaned into the sci-fi thing a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
with Hellas, you kind of still got that Greek theme, and I'm not saying you don't feel the Viking theme, but it does feel a little bit more into the sci-fi realm. So you're
Like
absolutely
more
right.
sci-fi than the Viking necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like I've said this a bit, but like I really like sci-fi TV shows and stuff. And then I find in games I'm not as pulled into them as I should be, being a friggin' big old nerd that I am, right?
Right.
So,
Well,
but
I
yeah,
will say,
I think.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, but I'm just saying that I think it's going to be a great game. Like
Yeah, it looks fantastic. And I
I
will say,
haven't played Hellas enough
I
to
see.
which is why I took a pass on it. I was like, okay, they feel like pretty similar to me because I haven't dived into Hellas like as much as I want to. So rather than get something that I know of, I'll like play. I figure out like, okay, dive deep into Hellas and then
Right.
get Ragnarok down the line, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I think you could probably be in both camps. You could probably be in the one camp that says, I think they're different enough. I want both of them. Or I've heard, if you just get Ragnarok, that will probably scratch your itch. Right. So
Yeah.
I could see both camps. But I did want to say about this sci-fi theme, I'm kind of with you on that. And for this game in particular, I think personally, I would have liked to see a little bit less of the sci-fi, just a little bit less.
Cool. Yeah.
And the only downside I will say is people kind of were expecting a Lords of Hellas reprint, and they kind of didn't go for that.
That's true too. Yeah.
Maybe down the line, but I don't think they said anything. So that would be the only kind of thing, like, oh, that would have like really maybe
put it over the top.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
right,
if they gave the option to do both and they couldn't just because of printing or logistics, right? Like it's not like they were just withholding it to be mean.
right. Exactly.
No, get this one. We don't want your money for getting both. Like that's not what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my number 5, Lords of Ragnarok. Really excited.
That's a great choice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm getting pumped just that you brought it up, and I really like you talking about the community engagement. That's so true. Like, got to give props to Awakened Realms. Their updates are always so detailed.
Yeah.
They make you feel like you're a part of it. I know, like one of my first Awakened Realms games, my buddy Zach got Nemesis, and then I was like, I need everything they ever make ever. And so I like when Etherfields was around, I was really engaged in that campaign, and if that was such a fun campaign because of the involvement that like Awakened Realms puts in. I just find like being along for the ride and getting swept up in that ride, it's fun. It really
Yes.
is fun. So
Yes.
yeah.
And you know what? Awaken Realms, dude, I trust that company 100%. They've
Yeah,
delivered so many products that it's,
for sure.
if they say, hey, we need another 6 months, I'm completely fine, because
Yeah,
I know they're still working on it. So yeah.
for sure. Nice. Great number 5. All
Awesome.
right. My number 5 is a very different turn. This is the lowest funded on my list. This got over the funding line. It was only for UK backers, but then everybody else got a print and play. And it's this really dumb little game. I say dumb in the best possible sense. It's called, the full title is called a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify their sounds. Like, that's the full title. It's just a long, stupid sentence. I call it just wee whimsical creatures, but it is so funny to me. It's this one, the designer Bez, they've just drawn up a bunch of these really strange looking aliens, and they're just cards. And then it's kind of like Dixit. If you play Dixit, then you lay out 5 in a row, and each of them are assigned a number from 1 to 5. And then the clue guesser, the person giving the clue, will have to make a sound, and just like a dumb sound that they think is associated with this weird looking creature, like a squawk or a whimper or whatever. Right. It's just so stupid, but it is so good. And like, the artwork is so good. I went in for like $1 to get this print and play. And I finally found a place that I think will print me like a good copy. So I haven't yet even played it, but I've got the files. I just think the concept sounds so stupid, but so funny. It's like, it's weird code names. It's screaming code. You could do a code names version, have all the monsters out, and just use the codename cards to try to match it up. I feel like it might be too many to guess, right, but like your noises would have to be pretty specific. They're like, the art's fun. The art's super fun. They got all these like friggin' eyes, just like one guy who's just this head with chicken legs. It's fantastic. Like, I saw this. He posted it on Facebook in this Facebook group I'm a part of, and I was like, I need this. I need to tell the world about this game.
Right.
Because it is so dumb, but it just looks so fun. I haven't yet played it because I haven't printed it out. I was trying to find a way to make like a nice card version of it.
Yeah.
Because like I want it to feel like a real game. I want to feel like quality. I want it to be able to be dealt out, and I want to like pull it out and have people be like, what in the sweet hell is this game?
That's awesome. I did not hear about this game, but let me ask you, when you were
raised like $4,000, I think.
Is that right? Is that right? So I'm seeing the angle that you're coming at this list with already from this pick, and that's awesome. But I did want to ask, so when you're looking at this game and you're seeing all these crazy creatures, did you try to make some of the noises just when you're looking at it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
You have to.
I was just going, I'm trying to find them. Just, they're like, I just think like, I think a game like that is, I don't know. You obviously need the right group of people, but even with the wrong group of people, I think they'll get on board if you have that one person who's just batshit enough. Just like go there, right?
Yep.
So
that's awesome, man.
It's really funny. I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link to the Kickstarter. Well, I'll put the links of all these in the description.
Cool.
As well.
So how do you win the game? Because there's no right answer, right? Whatever the group decides.
Well, so the person will, like, you have to commit to it beforehand, and if the majority vote for that creature, I think you get it, but not if everybody gets it. It's similar rules. Like, you want everybody to guess it, and then everybody gets points if they do guess it. But you also don't want everybody to guess it at the same time. I think it's less about like trying to throw people off the scent, because it's already going to be pretty hard as it is.
Right.
But it is like, if everybody votes for it, you get a point, and then you just pass around. You get points as the point giver for people who vote for it as well. So you're working together in that sense. But if you want to score it as it goes around, you want to be guessing the most and making people guess it the most as well. So that's how you go. And you play to like however many points you want, really.
Right. That's one of those games I could see like descending into chaos. Just everybody is just rolling, laughing, and they're like, "Screw the points. We're just making noises."
Yeah, that's like my zaniest on this list. All the other ones are like pretty like not zany, but I had to mention it. I had to bring it up as my number 5.
I
Yeah.
would love to play that with my kids. I mean, they
Yeah,
make wild noises anyway, so I feel like we're kind of playing that game already, but just
for
without
sure, right?
points,
Yeah.
you know? So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, man. What's it called again?
It's called A Game About Wee Whimsical Creatures and Trying to Identify Them Based on Their Sounds. I think, what's the title? Let me double check. Yeah, uh, and trying to identify them after someone makes a sound. I just call it Wee Whimsical Creatures, and I think that's what it should be called.
That's
But
an amazing name.
yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, nobody sat down to think maybe we should shorten this up a little bit. But I guess
No,
that's the nature of the game, right? To be
exactly.
wild.
It sets the tone.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, it tells you what it is in the title.
that's
So
awesome, dude. Mm, very cool.
yeah.
Well, I guess what, my number 4?
Let's do it. You're number 4.
Okay. So, my number 4, this is a follow-up game to our already highly rated game, and that is going to be Mythic Battles Ragnarok. So, a theme
Nice.
about this list is also games that I am super excited about.
For sure, right?
Uh,
That's the goal.
Absolutely. So even if, like I said, I didn't back one of these. So the rest of them, you might find games where there might be a little bit more community engagement, but I'm trying to,
Yeah.
I also try to keep it not just like games I am excited for, but what also could I say this is why it was a great campaign, right?
Yeah,
Objectively,
legit.
right?
Cool. Love
So
that.
Mythic Battles Ragnarok, this is by Monolith. This was on Kickstarter. And this raised 2,434,013,316 backers. So that was, already in of itself a high success.
Yeah.
So this, like I said, this is a follow-up to Mythic Battles Pantheon. And this is set in the Viking theme. Pantheon was set in the Greek mythology, but again, kind of with Lords of Ragnarok, they changed up the game. I mean, Pantheon has been out of print, right? So it's hard to find.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of said, okay, let's put out. They put out a reprint of Pantheon, but they didn't want to just do a reskin of that with Ragnarok. So I think they changed enough to warrant this kind of, the changes, a new version,
Nice.
if you will. So I'm already really excited. I love skirmish games. I haven't played Pantheon, so I'm really excited to get this game. But
Cool.
the mechanics look awesome, and the sculpts, Monolith does fantastic minis. Really pumped. The Viking theme is probably my favorite theme. So anything with kind of Viking, theme slapped on, dude, sign me up already, right?
You're in. Yeah.
I'm in 100%. But with the campaign, I liked how they did the individual sections. Again, kind of like with I already forgot the last game I talked about, Lords of Ragnarok. I like how they, yeah, man, horrible memory. I like how they laid out the sections. You knew exactly what you were going to get. They had a ton of
Yep.
stretch goals, which I know doesn't make for a great game, but Monolith is always known for throwing in a bunch of stretch goals, so you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck, right? So
It makes it for good value, right? In this day and age, especially with shipping, like you have to be getting that extra value with the pledges, right? I think it's important. I think it's really important talking about this list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They offered multiple bundles, and you could even get, I liked what they did was like, if you didn't want everything, but you did want a little bit of Pantheon, you wanted a little bit of Ragnarok, they even had a bundle where you could get both cores and all the stretch goals for that in one bundle. So it's like stuff like that. They had some really cool bundles. I mean, you could even get everything for, I think it's called the Ouroboros pledge for like $800. So it's like insane, dude. But they had the rule book available that you could read. So I like when, publishers have the rule book already. So if you want to read through that, you can get a good idea of how the game plays. They had a great section titled "What's Changed from." I'm getting Hellas and Ragnarok, both Ragnaroks mixed up. But what's changed from Pantheon to Ragnarok? And they laid it out very well that you knew exactly what was changing. So you didn't have any kind of idea of like, well, do I just want Pantheon? What's the difference? I really like how they laid that out.
Nice.
And I feel like they actually took a lot of feedback. They have a lot of surveys on their, on their updates. They have a lot of community engagement. So they take the feedback and then they would put out some updates like, hey, we hear you. This is what we're changing. I think they had some change to Loki Mini, something like that. So they're actually
nice.
taking that feedback and they're making the changes, I think, in a positive way. So really, always when companies do that, dude, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
then,
That's awesome. Like I find with just even changing a sculpt, because changing a sculpt takes a lot of work, and there are so many companies out there who will just be like, that's the sculpt.
Right.
That's what we're doing. Like we're not going back and reworking it. But like that's wicked. I didn't know that they did that.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, dude, if I see some companies that are doing that, and if I'm kind of on the fence, sometimes that makes me want to jump in more because I'm like, you know what? I want to support more companies doing this sort of stuff. Obviously, you don't need to change your whole game, right? Because you can't make everybody happy, right? So, but when they try to do that to please some people, I'm a huge fan because that's who they're making the game for, right? So a little bit of feedback, if they take that, that's awesome. But yeah, that's Mythic Battles Ragnarok. They even extended the PM, which is awesome. So if you needed more time to save up for that $800, now you got the time. You know what I mean?
You got it. Do you know if it's still open for?
It is. It is.
It is.
Yeah. They plan to end it at the end of the year, and I think they're going to extend it till like February. Hop in, man. Hop in. There's a lot of different pledges.
I know that was one that like I hadn't really looked into that sort of system before before even the last couple of videos that I did on the $1 million Kickstarters, because I wasn't doing the covering the $1 million ones around that time, like that early on. And then I looked at it, I was like, and I didn't expect it to resonate with me. And I was like, so many of the things I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that's really interesting. Like, yeah, I think that's cool. I'm glad you get
if you would have asked me like if it was your type of game, I probably would have said no. Like I don't fully know your taste, but I feel like, you would have probably passed on that. You don't seem like too much of a skirmish guy to me.
Yeah. I'm not as much of a skirmish. I like my area control with like a wider scope, I guess, like more table talk. I like my table talk.
Yeah. I'm just
I like
excited.
being able to run my mouth.
Oh, I think you could run your mouth in this one, dude. You get Thor out there smashing some people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's my number 4.
Nice. All right, so my number 4. It's my number 4 now.
Your number 4.
I wasn't sure. I've got so roped in. It must be Mythic Battles. My number 4 is Mythic Battles. No. My number 4. I didn't back this one. This is the only one that is over $1 million. And it is Flamecraft. So Flamecraft is this game that looks just so friggin' cute. It's a dragon placement game. You got all these little dragons and you're putting them out. They're going to shops and they're baking bread and they're making meat or whatever the dragons are doing. They're artisanal dragons and they're all around this place. And this is one of those campaigns that like I'm sucked in. I don't usually go for like the deluxeified pledge. I'm very interested in getting this game, and I'm gonna look for it when it hits retail because I'm a cheap person. But this is one where like I loved the campaign so much, and I feel like one of the reasons it did so well is because like this is for me how a campaign should be run. It was engaging to the community. They were providing all sorts of different fun things. They had little riddles for you to solve in the world. They were like, oh, you want plushies? Here, we got a bunch of cute dragon plushies. They were giving so many opportunities to also support the company in these really unique ways that they had like stretch goals for supporting content creators. I think Hungry Gamer was one of them that they were like, oh, subscribe to Hungry Gamer or whatever. It was just such like a lovely, wholesome campaign for like a really wholesome game. And it drew me in, and it like made me want to be a part of the world. And I didn't back it because of like shipping and whatever. I was like, okay, I don't need the deluxeifications. I want them, and they're adorable, but I don't like necessarily need them. But I think it's because I think the mechanics are going to be, I think they're going to be nice. I think they're going to be fairly simple, but I think they are going to be in that sort of simple level. And for me, a simple game is great, but I don't need it. I don't need my simpler like strategic experiences to have all the deluxeificated components, right?
Right.
Also known as deluxeified components.
Deluxeified, yeah, man.
one or the other.
That's awesome, man. I did hear about this game. I saw a lot about it. It, like you said, dude, it looks, I mean, those little dragons, dude, they look so cool. You know, they're
Yeah,
just how they laid them out. You know, it looks awesome. I didn't back it. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, and for me, like in terms of stretch goals, I feel like that's a real calculation for me is like, what am I getting with these stretch goals? And at the lower tier, it was like a couple extra sheets or a couple extra cards, and I was like, they're
Right,
not going to really have an impact on the game. I don't need to pay the extra shipping when I can wait and support my local game store and get it about the same price, right?
right, right.
So that was my calculation. But yeah, I just think like when I think of like a really well run campaign, I was thinking of Flamecraft a lot, and I loved how they engaged the community and were really responsive and came up with a lot of creative ideas that worked for that audience. Yeah,
Yeah, that almost seems like they wanted that feedback, right? Like they wanted to
yeah,
add to their world, right? So
yeah, yeah,
they wanted extra feedback to say, "Hey, we want your ideas." It sounds like that
yeah.
type of, yeah.
Like you want bookmarks? We'll give you bookmarks, sure. Like
Right.
they just tried to make things happen that their community were like, we want everything cute, and they're like, we'll do our best.
Right, right. Mission accomplished,
Yeah,
right? That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Seriously.
Okay, my number 3, uh, this is going to be The Witcher Old World. All right, so this is the one
Nice.
that I did not back. This was on Kickstarter. I mean, do I even need to say the amount raised? What is it? You probably know. Is it the second highest board
It's
game?
the fourth now. Yeah,
It's at the fourth.
I the fourth highest because you've got Frosthaven at number one, Kingdom Death number two,
Ah,
Exploding Kittens number three, and then The Witcher snuck in. I
I
think it is, unless it passed Exploding Kittens, but it was something bananas, wasn't it?
yeah. Well, I didn't know. I knew it was like up there in the list, but I
Yeah,
didn't know if it. I knew Frosthaven was number one. I just didn't know what
yeah,
was. But still, huge amount of money, right? Massive. I
yeah.
mean, 45,000 backers, insane, dude.
That's
And I mean,
that's bananas. Yeah,
yeah,
and so many new backers, like new to
yes.
Kickstarter too. I remember looking.
One, the IP, right? I mean, The
Yeah,
Witcher. One of the reasons I didn't back was um, the game. This was around a time I was kind of trying to cut back on Kickstarters a little bit from backing so much. I already have so much in the pipe, right? And then
yeah,
plus, I unfortunately, and I would like to change this, I don't have a real tie to The Witcher. I've seen the gameplay, the video game. You know, I know there's the show, but I don't have
yeah,
that tie, right? So,
for sure.
but the gameplay looked interesting. And I was going back and forth, man. I was like, what should I get? Should I get deluxe? Should I get the standard? But one of the reasons why it's in here is just because of that new backers, right? It brought so many
Yeah,
new backers,
yeah,
and I'm excited that if they stay around with the hobby, that would be super cool to bring in new people to the hobby. But one of my favorite things was. Well, I shouldn't say favorite, but what I like that they did was a few
yeah.
months before the launch, they had a bunch of videos on Go On Board's channel. This is by Go On Board, if I didn't say that. And I think they're teaming up with CD Projekt Red. But they had a bunch of videos on their channel. So you kind of were getting little tidbits about how the game played before the campaign even launched. And they sent this game around to a lot of content creators and stuff. So you kind of got a good grasp about,
For sure.
what to expect. But what I really liked on the page was how they laid out everything. They had a really cool thing of like, if you're looking at the core box, they had just like in big letters, you get 5 Witchers, 5 player boards, stuff like that. But then when they got around to some components, like they said, I might have said like 15 monsters, but underneath of that, it would say only in the deluxe box. But it was this amazing graphic that you could easily distinguish. Okay, if I want to get these monsters, I need this, right? It even
For
had
sure.
the card sizes underneath of the cards, 70 cards. This is the size. This is the size of the minis. So I
Oh
just
yeah,
really
yeah.
liked how they
Nice.
laid out all of that stuff. Um, I mean, it's available in 7 languages. You don't see too many, pleasing everybody with that speaks a different language. And this is one of those games. Um, what else did they have? They had these little animations. I always love when I see these Kickstarters or Game Found, but they got these little animations that kind of just show like maybe 10 seconds, but little different parts of the game. So you kind of get a decent
Yeah.
understanding of like, just a little summary. But you're like, I kind of know what's going on here. So I really like that. And then the biggest thing I think there was like 50,000 comments, right? So
Wow.
with that many people backing and that many comments, the community engagement that they had, I think, was pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
With I spoke earlier about you're not going to be able to please everybody. There was some drama with the game, right? As we probably both know. And I feel like they addressed that in a positive way to kind of accommodate as many people as they could, but staying true to what they wanted to do and the IP. So I feel like they came up with a good balance and just speaking with the community that much. If you go on there, you'll see Go on Board, you'll see they're replying with comments and stuff like that. So I think with that amount of people, it was kind of an achievement to be like, hey, speaking with that many people. So I thought that was pretty impressive.
Definitely.
And their updates seemed pretty good. I think I saw a few of their updates, and it was basically just question and answers, right? It was just a bunch of question and answers. Because, I mean, you have a bunch of questions, especially if this is your first time backing, right? You're going to have loads of questions. And sometimes
Yeah.
the comment section isn't the best. So
No,
to
because it
put
goes
out,
by so quickly, right? Yeah.
absolutely, especially with a game like that when you got 45,000 people. So to have like an update where it's like, hey, when's the PM gonna open?
Yeah.
Here. When's the this gonna happen? Here, here, here. So I just thought that was really cool. So that is gonna be my number 3, The Witcher. Kind of regretting not backing this, but I think it's also gonna come to retail, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. The Witcher. I mean, that was an exciting ride. That was like I was so sucked. I love their friggin' minis. And the reason I didn't end up
Yeah.
backing is because I was like, man, I want the deluxe pledge. I want it so badly that I don't even want the standard, but I can only afford the standard, so I'm not getting any of it.
You
And that was like
stubborn
that was
ass.
like that was like a big it was like a big reason. Like, well, just because like the minis look so good,
Yeah,
and
they do.
I really love too that like as as they broke their goal after goal after goal, they kept on adding new stretch goals too,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
that feels fun as a backer, making those pushes
Oh
and
yeah.
then being like, we don't actually we're through all of our planned stuff, but
Right.
uh, here you go,
Let's
here's
keep
something
going.
else.
Yep.
Like I really like when that happens, and it's kind of special, it's kind of fun, and it's really neat to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good choice.
I can't I am excited to play it. Like I said, I didn't back it, but I still would like to give it a shot.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
So yeah, number
Cool.
3.
Good number 3. All right, my number 3 is a game called. I backed this one. I think the rest. I'm getting my hands on the rest on my list as well. It's a game called Dragonbond: Lords of Vala, and it's this really cool. It's area control. It really sucked me in. It sucked me in because of the price. Well, let's be real. It was a fantastic deal, and I was like, I love a good deal and I wanted this deal. So yep, I jumped on board. But the concept of it, because it was like $49 and you got this game, and then all their stretch goals are like, oh yeah, we're actually adding in minis for like all these other things, and we've got enough that we're turning all these extra minis into their own little war game too, if you want it.
Whoa, nice.
Like I'm not interested in that sort of war game either, but like I really appreciate they're like, yeah, here's another sort of rule set that we developed for this supplementary game. So it's kind of like you got these two games in one.
Right.
But the main game is really neat because it plays up to 4 people, or you can get more with expansions. But you're either a general or you're a dragon, and so you're competing for spots on the board, getting points like by taking over provinces or whatever. But at a certain point during the game, it's first to 10 points wins. At a certain point during the game, if you and a general, if you're a dragon and there's a general and you're sharing a spot, you can choose to like bond together and like the dragon bond and become a team for the rest of the game. Like the general hops on the dragon and you guys sail off together. You have to get to like 15 points now, but you can work together and like team up.
It's
And
like
I think
some
that's
Avatar stuff here. Linking up,
yeah.
you know what I mean, and just flying
Yeah,
off.
yeah. It's like I think that concept itself is so cool. It also has you'll play all of your cards face down. You'll commit to it beforehand. So it's kind of like got this programming element to it. So like I'll put a card face down, you all put cards into this communal deck, and then you flip them over and they resolve one at a time. So your plans could get completely screwed over if the people don't go into the right spot. But if you can anticipate what your opponent's doing and then put the card right after to counter it, like that to me seems really neat. So it's those two main things that kind of drew me in, and then the price point itself. I was like, you know what, sign me up. I'm stoked about this game. I want to talk about it more because I think it was such a good deal on Kickstarter, and like they seemed really committed to it was those two reasons why I was really excited about it. I like both of those, and it was a great deal, so I jumped in. And I was worried when I first paid for shipping. I was like, oh, this isn't what you quoted me. And then I checked it later, and then it was all fixed. So I was like, okay, cool. They were right on the shipping. I feel good about it. I was like, oh no, I had to pay more, but I didn't mind because I was so excited about the game too, right? So that kind of like reinforced my belief that like be excited about the things you back, because in this sort of shipping era, you never know what's going to happen. It's always up in the air. All companies, they're most of them are doing their best, other than the one company that is like, we want your money. But other than that, they're all doing good. But anyway, that's my number 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say $50. You did say 50, right? Or 49?
Yeah,
you said.
Yeah,
$50 for a game that has minis is fantastic, dude. And you know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I ordered or I backed Mindbug. And I'm super excited about that. Like, it's not just these massive games that I'm into. So if you find something that's like an excellent price range, dude, that's awesome. I was going to joke around like, yeah, they asked for 50 for backing it, and then asked for like another $100 for shipping just to make up that cost. But that's awesome, man. I have not heard about that game. So I am going to have to check it out.
It looks good. Like it really, I think you have to like those two elements. I think those two elements are going to be pretty prevalent. If you don't like that sort of programming thing, I know I've played games with people who don't like that, basically playing without the board and then seeing what happens on the board, like any sort of hidden movement, that sort of stuff. I've got a bunch of friends who don't like that sort of style, but I do, and I'm going to subject them to it.
Yes, you will play this now.
Yeah. Sorry,
that's
you're
awesome.
At my house.
See, but I like that, dude. You don't know what's gonna happen. All reveal, right? That can just mix up the game. I'm such a huge fan of chaos in games. So anything that can give me that, that's awesome. So if you don't know what's gonna happen, dude, that's gonna make an interesting game. That's awesome.
Yeah, nice.
Well, my number 2, I think me and you have kind of a connection to this one, and I got a cool story about this, but this is going to be Arydia by Far Off Games.
It's not number 1. It's not number one.
It's not number 1.
Oh my goodness! I thought it was number 1 for sure.
The two games I was going back and forth, but there's one that just eked it out. So these next two companies, the reason why they're in these spots is because we were talking pretty much this whole video about a community interaction, and these two companies do it far better, in my opinion, than anybody else. So with Arydia, this was on Kickstarter, 1,358,000. So that was pretty good. 10,577 backers. But this is by Far Off Games and Cody Miller. I have Zaya. It's one of my favorite games ever. And the cool story was I actually did a video about this. I was scrolling through Board Game Geek one day, and I was on the hotness. I saw this game, Arydia. I had no idea what it was about. So I clicked on the link. There was only a handful of pictures. I mean, I want to say like 6 or 7 pictures. You knew nothing really about the game, just a short little section. So I was looking for a video idea, and I kind of decided, hey, let's just speculate about what this game is going to be about, because what Cody did in the pictures, some stuff was in focus, but then other things around were out of focus. But you could tell there was key information that was out of focus, but it was just enough that you could be like, what is that? And you could kind of piece things together. So
you got to get your sleuth on.
Yeah. So that's what I did. So I made this video. Somebody from Far Off Games reached out to me like, hey, interesting video. Cody liked the video. And what's cool is I was actually, invited to look at the preview page before it launched. So it's like, it's nothing really. Cause it's not like I was going to get in there. I don't like this. I don't like that, but it was just something
Change
cool.
It all.
Yeah. But it was just something cool to be a part of. So I was,
that's awesome.
It was the first time for me. Right. But I love Zaya, and I had huge, I have huge expectations for this game. Campaign launch, everything looks phenomenal. I love everything that they're doing. I even had Jeremy Howard on, did an interview with him because he got to play the game early. So I kind of got like a special connection with this game. But again, everything looks top notch. I'm liking the campaign. I was kind of getting off campaign games a little bit just because I felt like I was flooded, but this one looks different enough. And I love this element of role play. I don't know how much is going to be in the game exactly, but if you can keep people invested in the game, that's just going to make for a better experience. And I love that. So I'm hoping to see more. I have an idea of how much there's going to be. I'm just guessing, but I'm hoping it's a little bit more than what I'm guessing it is. There's a huge discount off the MSRP if you back now. So they're already throwing out this huge discount. So that was a good incentive to back the game now. They also talked about, I like this section on the campaign, the risks and challenges. So Cody went into, I feel like, a lot of detail about what he's learned on his Kickstarter process. So if you read this little risks and challenges, you were really comfortable that they learned a lot. He talked about like the production company that they were using. So you kind of got this really good feeling of like, hey, this is an awesome game, as well as I feel comfortable that I'm going to get this game. They're going to do everything that they can to make this top notch. The components look fantastic. I mean, you're talking dual layer boards, tri-layer boards. It's pre-painted minis like they were in Zaya. And Zaya was a few years ago, and they still looked fantastic. So I'm expecting these minis are going to look equally as good. And plus you can pop the heads off and put them on different bodies so you can kind of create your own guy. I mean, it's just awesome. So I'm liking everything that I'm seeing about the game. But the biggest thing, and why I mentioned this at the beginning, was the community interaction. If you go on Board Game Geek, you are going to see comments from Cody. You are going to see comments from, I believe his name is Ira Fay, right, who helped design, I believe it was the Embers expansion for Zaya. But if you have questions about Zaya or Arydia, you're going to find them commenting on Board Game Geek. Go on the comment section of the Kickstarter. You're going to see Cody responding to people there. You can look at the preview of the rule book. And even under the preview, there's people on the side posting comments inside of that. Like, it's like a rough draft. I don't know what program it is, but Cody's responding to comments on there. So I believe that Cody just wants to make as good of a game as he can. And I really get that feeling from him and the whole company in general. So when I see these kind of comments and this kind of interaction, I'm like, this is a guy that loves board games and wants to make the best game he can. So that special connection, how good the game looks, as well as this Far Off Games company, number two.
Nice. I can't believe it's number 2. I thought for sure it was number 1 because I know you're the first one who actually introduced me to Arydia. I saw that like preview, the speculation video, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like this is like cool video. Like I liked it a lot, and then I was more entrenched, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm even just hearing it. I'm so glad you put it on the list because like I couldn't put it on this list because it was spoiler alert. It was number 1 on the.
I know. I saw
20 to number 1. I'm ridiculously hyped for this, especially in a place that the same with you. I'm like, I have too many campaign games that like I'm not playing. I'm not getting the time to like devote to them that I want to. But this, it seems like something special. And Cody gives off that vibe that like no matter how long it takes, it's gonna take the time it takes to make sure it's good. Like they're gonna go into it. Yeah, I love the little personal touches that he's at the end of every update. It's like always a picture of him and his family. It's like, and we got snow.
Right.
I'm like, that's awesome. Like
you kind of feel like you know him. Yeah, in a weird sense.
Yeah, it gives that like sense of this is a real person, and like that's cool. I saw one comment was like, don't show us the pictures, more game. I'm like, okay, you grump. It's like one sentence at the end being like, I had a great Christmas. I don't care. I want it now. Stop having a good Christmas and get me my toys.
That's amazing, dude. I did not see that. That is incredible.
Yeah, it was just like this one guy. I was like, I'll get out of here. But yeah. Yeah, Arydia looks so good.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and I think it looks different enough. Like I said, it's just
Yeah.
I'm super pumped. And what's I do want to say this about the list. It kind of does seem like my list is also geared in a way that my excitement level. So it's like
Yeah,
starting at number
for sure.
5 is what I'm a little bit, I'm still excited, but not as much as my number 1. So number 2 is
Cool.
still really highly rated. I'm pumped about this
I'm
game, man.
I'm excited for your number one. I got to get through my number two, geez, so I can hear it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I did want to say, I mentioned you at the beginning of this number 2 because I know you have that special, you were
That's
picked
true.
for the contest. How wild
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that?
It's pretty nuts. The board game geek contest was
Yeah.
rigged in my
Yeah,
favor.
that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
So that I'm so excited to get a copy of Arydia. You know what? I was thinking this because when it came out, like around when I was covering it too, I was like, eh. Also, like my COVID finances aren't good, and this
Yes.
is
Right.
is
Right.
like a pretty expensive game, right? So like for that
Yes.
reason, I probably wasn't. Wouldn't have jumped on board around the Kickstarter time, but like just having that time to like sit with it and to see that the excitement hasn't diminished, right? Like it's
Yes.
only kind of grown for it. And like thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I really would enjoy this game. Then that's like the time for me at least where I would jump in and be like, yeah, this is a luxury purchase. Like
Right.
I'm okay dropping, a more expensive amount of money on this because my excitement is still there, right? I think that's also the benefit about all these sort of like late pledges. You can take the time and like not get swept up in that initial thing. And if your excitement stays as it is, like 6 months later, then that's how you know you made like a really good purchase.
I
So
think you're right, dude. Like I
yeah,
was looking at the page when I was getting this list together. I looked at the page again and I was just like, oh
yeah,
man, that looks so cool. Oh, I want to do that.
nice,
Yeah.
wicked. All right, great number two. Great number two.
Thank you, sir.
All right, my number two. This is a game that I actually covered. I've never played the physical product of it, but I have played it quite a few times on Tabletopia. It's a little game because they reached out to me. This is one of the first companies that actually reached out to me. It was like, hey, would you give us a quote and like a rating for our Kickstarter page?
Can I guess?
Yeah,
Is it the Peak Oil Profiteer?
that's the one. Peak
Okay.
Oil
Okay.
Profiteer.
Okay.
This is a really fun game. Like this is I wasn't sure where it would land, if it was going to be like number 3 or number 2, but I think because I have played it and I know its inner workings and I know what to expect, and I'm still excited for when my copy arrives and I get to like play it physically for the first time. It's one of those games. To give everyone a brief breakdown, you can check it. I did a full video on it that goes through it in detail, but it's this sort of economic game. My quote was, it's like Power Grid and Mission Red Planet had a beautiful corrupt baby. If you've played either of those games, it feels you have this action selection. You've like 5 roles you can choose from, and they're resolved from 1 to 5, just depending on which ones they are. And then you're going to manipulate the board. There are these 3 sort of warring factions who are warring over this land, and you don't care about any of them, but you want to sell guns to all of them, take oil from land that they control, and sell it to the highest bidder. Like, you just want to make money, and you'll pit these warring factions against each other because it doesn't matter as long as you profit. Who cares, right? A very depressing theme when you think about it, but one that like I really like economic games. Like I really like Power Grid. I played that recently again the other day, and I was like, yeah, this is fun. It's not fun for everybody. I feel like you can almost describe Power Grid as like Math, the board game. But like it scratches that sort of like economic itch that I really like, and there's some neat deals that can be made, and you're going to be constantly stabbing people in the back around the table. It's just like is a really solid experience, and it was also a good price point. The main one was like €30 to pledge for.
Nice.
And
Nice.
like that's a good, I think that's like 33 US. It's like 42 Canadian when I made the conversion. And then now I think it's still late pledge on GameFound, and it's now €33. So it's like 47 Canadian, which
I'm out.
you got to factor in the shipping. Yeah, exactly, right? Too much.
Too much.
Too much. You got to factor in the shipping and see if like that's it for you. But for me, like that's around the price that I'd want to pay for the game, because like and it gives me that sort of replayable experience that I really enjoyed. It was like it was surprising for me how much I enjoyed it, and I'm surprised actually how often I think of like my games that are coming, and I go, oh yeah, but Peak Oil was fun, and so like I'm excited to get it, and I've subjected a lot of my friends to it, so they already all know how to play too. So it's one of those where it'd be really easy when I get it to just like bring it to a game night right away and not have that learning curve because we've already kind of done it. So I think because I know the experience that I'm kind of getting into, that's why it's up at the number 2.
Yeah, I did see that one. I think it is still on GameFound. I think you still can pledge for it. But yeah, I saw you had some coverage of that. Yeah, and I saw your quote on the Kickstarter page. So
nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that
awesome. Was cool. That's also like my first quote on a Kickstarter page too, right? Like that's a cool first for me as well. So that gives me some goodwill towards the campaign itself. But I was like, yeah, this was fun. It wasn't my favorite at the 2-player count, but I think for the larger players, which is how I'll play. I don't think I'd ever play it at 2. Yeah. Unless you and a friend were like, we really want to play Peak Oil, and then like the other friend drops out, you could still play it, but I just think it's more satisfying with there's more elements, there's more chances for chaos with more people, which is what I like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of those. I don't think it got a lot of traction, but it was like we all have those games that seem to be sleepers to everybody else, right? But there's just something about them that you're just like, I love this, right? So that's awesome, man. It doesn't sound like my cup of tea, but
I saw when I was talking about Power Grid, you were like, oh man,
Matt, the board game does not sound interesting to me, but I'm always open to give something a shot. So my mind could be changed. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, time for number 1, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, Arydia, this company has a track record, pretty long track record at this time, of just being a company that is all about the community. I currently have this game, not this exact game, and I love it. I absolutely love it. This is going to be Too Many Bones Unbreakable.
Nice.
This is by Chip Theory Games. This was on GameFound. This was a huge one for them. About 3,411,000, about 12,000 backers. So this was pretty big.
Wow.
I had a video about this. This was crazy when the campaign launched. As fast as I could, I jumped in, put in the information, and clicked back. I didn't do the whole, like, I think I just pledged like $1, but I just wanted to see. And I think I was like backer. I forget exactly what number I was, but it was like 80 or something like that. It was just crazy that it must have taken me 30 seconds. And that's already what backer number was. But I love this game. I have a bunch of playthroughs up on the channel. I have a review up. I absolutely adore this game. Everything about it. I have everything currently for the game. So when they announced that this was kind of their last hurrah, right? I was excited. I think it is time. Ultimately, I think it's time to kind of wrap up. There's already so much. You can't really fit too much more in the trove chest. It's already,
the trove chest.
It's already
I saw your video about that. And gosh, it looks so good.
It is.
It's so cool.
It's a work of art. But I think they added a lot of cool things, right? This is going to focus more about underground caves. There's going to be like a lava mechanic, but I really like the page. They laid out everything nicely. You knew all that, like a little section about each tyrant that was going to be in Unbreakable. You knew a little bit about the gear locks that were going to be in there. You knew exactly what components were going to be in there. And they also offered a lot of different pledge levels. So like if you were just starting out, like they had some suggestions. If you wanted some gameplay, but you didn't want just the core game, you could kind of get like a little bundle. You could get all the new content. So they laid it out really nicely, but you could still be overloaded with all this information. Because a big thing about Too Many Bones, that's kind of a deterrent for some new people, you find out about this game that looks super cool, but you have no idea where to jump in. You don't know. What is this? Is this just is this an expansion? What do I need for this? And it's like a gear lock and you need all this other stuff. But they laid it out in such a way that if you had, like, I think there was a nice graphic And I had the notes here. What did they say? But like if you're new to Too Many Bones, and they laid it
Yeah.
out really nicely, like they had the core game. Hey, this is what if you want more gameplay content, get this expansion. If you want more gear locks, here's all this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I'm forgetting exactly how they laid it out, but it was done in such a nice way that if you said, hey, I want this, but I also want that. Okay, follow this little path down. Like you'll know exactly what to get. And you could even click on each of those things, find out a lot more information about it. I think they're also catering to the people that already have a lot of this game, right? They're adding
For
on
sure,
to
right?
more things, right? The
Yeah.
Rage of Tyranny, the 40 waves in Daylore. So people wanted more things with Crown and mechs. They're providing you with this now. So they're really listening to the community, and they're really giving a lot of that. Like they're taking that and giving it a lot, back to the community.
Yeah.
They're also adding a lot of cool other things like player mats. Like if you wanted a player mat to set your already neoprene on top of neoprene, you can still do that. And then they even had the 4-player, right, which was massive. But then they even took some feedback, and not everybody plays this with 4 players. So they took that and they said, okay, here's a solo co-op playmat. But you're absolutely right, dude. It's just kind of comical to have neoprene on top of neoprene. And some people probably even already have a neoprene mat like I do that I play.
Yeah, like on the table. Yeah.
So it's going to be 3 layers of neoprene while you're playing the game. So it's just kind of comical. But why I really love why this is number 1 is I mentioned community interaction. I haven't seen a company besides kind of Far Off Games with Arydia and Zaya that interacts as much as Chip Theory Games. I have personal
100%.
experience when reaching out to their support. They are fantastic to work with. They will work with you, get your stuff out to you relatively quickly.
Awesome.
And just the amount of comments. If anybody knows Too Many Bones or Cloudspire or even Hoplomachus, there's a lot of these little nuanced situations that come up. So there's a lot of questions. They are on those threads constantly answering questions. They have an amazing Discord, a very active Discord. So a lot of these companies, well, not a lot of these companies, but you'll find Discord channels for pretty much everything out there. But if you go on Chip Theory Games, I mean, there's the thread on there. It's active every day. So I suggest if anybody has any questions about any kind of their games, get on their Discord server. I highly recommend it.
Cool. Nice.
And then just not only that, I mean, the comments on the Game Found page, answering questions nonstop. So I love this company. I didn't back Burn Cycle. I was kind of holding back for that for the retail, but I'm still going to pick it up. This is one of those companies where I'm just like, anything you guys put out, I will probably back.
Yeah.
Just because you are an amazing company, and I will push your stuff because I think it is fantastic. But yeah, so that's going to be my number 1, Too Many Bones Unbreakable. Dude, I am so excited for this game. I am pumped. I'm so hyped. Last hurrah. Let's go out with a bang, right?
Nice.
Pumped.
Chip Theory, I think you're right with their customer service. It's like it is the best I've ever seen, like hands down. And they're such champions of the hobby. I've talked about this a little bit too, but like it's somewhat PR, but it isn't. I've seen so many instances in Facebook groups that I'm a part of where like people are like, oh man, I've been like really hit hard. I've lost so much. Like my financial situation is really dire, and for whatever reason. I saw this post recently. Somebody was like, oh, this really sucks. I want to share the story. Like I was saved up all this money. I got like the Tricarian collector's edition off this person on like Kijiji, and like I sent them the money, and then they e-transferred, and then they just got burned. Like they just got ripped off, and they didn't get the game. And like this is something they've been like saving up for, and they're like, it was around Christmas time too, and it's just like it sucks. They're like, you just beware, like don't let this happen to you. Like that was the intention of the message. And then like the Chip Theory Games rep was like, hey, like we don't sell Tricarian, but like to ease your pain, send me a message. We've got a $200 Chip Theory Games gift certificate for you.
Yeah.
Like that really sucks what happened.
Right.
And like we can do this, and so we are going to do it. And I think like there are so many instances where they've just been like, they just give away games. They'll be like, somebody will be like, oh shoot, like, oh, Too Many Bones is so expensive, and they'll just be like, hey, it's your lucky day. We're gonna give one to you for free. You know? And these are moments, not just like these moments where like the tone of the post is like, I'm really struggling, and they're like, you know what, we're able to do this. We're going to try to like make your day. And I think like when a company is able to do that and makes that like almost one of their mandates, that is so cool. Like that is so cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I generally think they truly care about this community, and they want to make the best product that they can. It always feels like any type of their game or any game that they have, they're putting a lot of effort into. I know a lot of companies do. I'm not saying that, but it feels like they put a little something special in there, you know, and just the way that they want you to like it, right? And they're going to help you no matter what to, you know, to get your answers, right? They have good FAQs on their website, dude. And one thing I do want to add, last thing, we talked about shipping for this flat rate. Guys, if you want to add stuff now, I mean, even in retail, you can add as much as you want.
That $1,100 pledge, you'll get it for $25 shipping, which honestly, with this shipping situation, is absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also absurd that you spend $1,100 on everything Too Many Bones if you've never played it. That's absurd as well.
That's a different topic. That is a different topic. Yeah.
But I played Too Many Bones for the first time actually. Like recently, there's somebody a friend reached out and was like, "Hey, I saw your video. Come over and play Too Many Bones. I own it." I was like, "Okay, it's fun. It's a fun system.
Yeah,
it's a really fun system.
It's one of those things. It's kind of easy to understand the concept, but it's like I'm still looking up stuff constantly, and they have the answers on the threads. So it's like
that's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, the Discord that's an awesome resource.
It's fantastic. Check it out for any game. Cloudspire, Too Many Bones, Hoplomachus. So yeah, nice. So that's number one. Chip Theory Games. Love that company.
Edged it out. Yeah. I was trying to guess, but I didn't guess until like right before you said it. I was like, oh yeah, how could I forget? Right?
Yeah. I would like to guess yours. You're number one.
Ooh, okay. Now, but I'll give you a clue because I'm cheating.
I already know what it is. You already know what it is?
I don't
even need a clue.
Because I'm cheating? Because it wasn't in 2021. It finished like end of November, beginning December of 2020. But I don't care.
No idea then.
No idea?
No. I was going to say Rallyman Cars.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, man.
It's Rallyman Cars. Oh, it's Rallyman Cars.
It's always Rallyman Cars.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes, it is Rallyman Cars. That makes me so happy.
I love Rallyman Cars.
You. All right, my number one. I kind of love the way this list, both of us has gone, because it's been a real just conversation about community and like companies that feel like they're not skeezy companies, but like they actually care about the hobby, they care about the people. And sure, like they're a company, you want to make money, like legit. That's the world. Like I'm happy supporting you. Everybody needs some money to live. So yes, please continue to create fun things for like that's the circle of life in this hobby. This Kickstarter comes from a first-time creator. Some people have received their pledges, not us yet in Canada, but it's coming really soon. And I love the way this campaign was handled as well. And I also think the game looks friggin' sweet. And it's Townsfolk Tussle. It's I pledged for this one. The art style just drew me in. It's so unique.
Yes.
I was like, I do not have a game like this on my shelf. In this art style, in this sort of, it's a skirmish. Look at that.
You're right. You're right.
Which is surprising because I don't go in that much for skirmish games, but even still, I was like, this looks fun. Like the art and the concept around it, like I think it's so funny. There's so much humor embedded in this game, and it's all about like theme. Yeah. I'm sure people have heard of it and have seen the unboxings, and like reviews have started to come in as well. And I'm sitting here being like, come on, get to Canada and I'll do. I've got a group pledge coming, so I've got 4 boxes of Townsfolk Tussle coming to my door that I got to distribute out. So I was able to save a bit on the shipping too, which was great. I love when companies do group pledges. But it's just this zany town where you got to fight your way through these baddies, and you're these weird characters, And they have this little thing where you also, every time you go through, if you win, you get to unlock another item, which goes into the deck of the main items. The deck of the main items is like so big already. It's like not even make a difference, but it's also like a fun little touch to keep that progression system going without it being like a campaign game as well. Yeah, the art on this one is just off the charts. I'm so excited to get my copy and play it. And I know the group that I want to play it with, and I feel like you need the right group for this sort of like weird game. But I like weird games. I like weird things, and that's like, yeah, the art style just blew me away. But on top of that, in terms of community, like this, for being first-time creators, they're so engaged with the community. And then when the shipping prices really boomed, because there was that time period where everybody was like, oh, we need to charge more for shipping because there are no containers. They're like, listen, they put out an announcement on they put out an update being like, this is the shipping situation. Like, we're probably going to have to pay like $100,000 or something ridiculous in shipping. And this campaign made like almost 500K. So they're like, we'll probably have to pay like this much. That's like pretty much, they were really upfront. They're like, that's like pretty much all of our profits for this game. But we made a commitment to you guys that we don't want to charge you more. So we're not going to. We're going to eat it. Like, we'll still have a little bit. It'll take us a little bit more to get other things off the ground. But like, we're so committed to you as backers. Like, when we know the situation is tough everywhere, like, we're going to take that on. And so many backers were like, no, please put a tip jar up in, like, let us figure out a way to like support. I'm happy to chip in like the 10 extra bucks for shipping. And like, if we all do that, it'll work out. But I just think that like, that is something they didn't have to do. That is like a real hit. And like, they're so honest about it being a real hit to them. And they're still like, but we don't want to charge you guys also, because like everybody's maybe in a tough situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like, just that sort of care, and like, yeah, we're going to take it on. And like, we intend to do more. And like, we hope you'll be there to support us along the way. And that makes me so much more inclined to like support their future projects. If I'm on the fence ever, you know, like, I'm like, they're a good company. They're like fighting to make it work. They seem really committed to making like fun, great games, really good updates. Like, it really blew me away. And that's why I'm cheating, because I want to talk about it. And I really think a light should be shone on how friggin' classy Panic Roll is, right? Like, so it makes me doubly excited to get the game and to play it and to hopefully enjoy it. I don't know if I will. I think I will, but like,
yeah. And you know what, whenever you
have it. Yeah.
And you know what, whenever you see that kind of dedication to helping, you know, like that kind of, dedication to providing everything they can to the backers, it makes you feel better that they put that same kind of love actually into the game. You know, it's like that's why to me anyway, I feel better about those types of games, because I'm like, if they want to do that much for the community, they want to make the game as good as they can for the community. And that's awesome. And that theme, dude, you're absolutely right. It was so unique that I think that was a huge pull for it. And take note, other companies, if, you know, we don't want to, not everybody wants to see the same old. I mean, if you do Vikings, I'm going to be there every time. But past that, try to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's it was the uniqueness of the theme alone that got me to pull the trigger on that.
Right.
I was like, honestly, it was one of those games. I looked at the rules and I was like, yeah, this seems fun. But I was like, the main reason, I don't have anything like that on my shelf. I think it looks so cool.
Right.
I love the art style. I'm in, right? Like, I like unique in games too. And that's what I find as my collection sort of grows. I'm looking for those unique, because if it's similar to something that I already love, well, I already love it and it's already on my shelf.
Yeah.
Right. So it's harder for it to break in. But if it's really unique, then, and it's not like something that I have, then I'm definitely going to be more inclined to want to get it. Right.
Yeah. I was this close to backing it for that exact reason, just because it looked so different visually.
Yeah.
That's the theme.
Yeah. 100%.
But I already got enough skirmish games, so you know.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good reason. So that's it. That's the number one. Those are some good lists. This was a freaking friggin' fun time, Andrew.
It was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, I'm also glad that I surprised you with my number one. You know, that you thought it was Arydia.
I thought it was Arydia for sure. And that was the reason I was like, okay, he's got to go first because his number one's Arydia. So I can't have two videos that both finish talking about Arydia. I was like, at least it's second.
Right. I got you.
At least I can talk about something else.
I meant to do that Rallyman Cars joke for my number 5
or
number 1, but I was like, I missed it, so I'm gonna guess it for Chris's.
That was good
because I know you talked about Rallyman Cars a few times, so I was like, I gotta throw that in there, dude. But yeah,
that's one of my favorite jokes. Yeah.
But yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. I think 2021 was a fantastic year for campaigns.
It was a really good.
And I think there's going to be a lot of cool ones in this year, 2022. So equally as excited.
Yeah. And for everybody who's watching, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out Andrew's channel over at Brews and Boardgames, and let us know in the comments as well, like, what were your favorites of the last year? I know we talked about it. There's some comments on like the other top million Kickstarters, but I'm interested. Are there certain stories of this sort of community, this theme of community that we've ended up talking about through this list? What are some examples? Because I love to hear about that sort of stuff. It makes me want to pay attention to those companies even more, and it makes me excited about those as well. And just or hidden gems that you may have found. Love all that sort of stuff. Make sure to drop it in the comments below, because I know both of us would be interested in hearing about it for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point, because most of these, all of these games I paid attention to more because these games interested me. But I'm sure there's plenty more companies that do this sort of thing that I would love to know about, because you're absolutely right. If I don't know about the company, like if you tell me like, hey, this company did this company did that, I'm more likely to pay attention to them the next time around, or even buy one of their current products. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's it. Get lost. See you later.
Thanks for having me, Chris. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, honestly, Andrew, thank you so much for jumping on. That's it. I don't have a catchphrase, but he does.
Till next time, grab some brews, play some games. Catch you on the next one.
See you later.
Later.